On behalf of everyone whose story could only be written in the greatest nation on earth, I accept your nomination to be President of the United States of America.
This was a speech that Kamala Harris said even she hadn't been expecting to make just a few weeks ago. But here she suddenly was, centre stage, about to embark on the biggest audition of her career.
Our nation with this election has a precious, fleeting opportunity to move past the bitterness, cynicism, and divisive battles of the past, a chance to chart a new way forward.
But it began with her past, her story, and the deep bond with her Indian immigrant mother.
She taught us to never complain about injustice, but do something about it. She also taught us, and never do anything half-assed. And that is a direct quote.
The audience lapped up every word. This wasn't searing oratory, more steady as she goes. This is who I am and why my career as a prosecutor and your vice president makes me the best person to take him down.
Donald Trump is an unserious man. But the consequences of putting Donald Trump back in the White House are extremely serious.
She litigated her case against him. January the 6th, a conviction for fraud, liability for sexual abuse, and a Supreme Court that would grant him immunity from criminal prosecution.
Just imagine Donald Trump with no guardrails. But America, we are not going back.
We're not going back. We're not going back. We're not going back.
We're not going back, the Harris mantra that's helped catapult her from relatively unknown and unpopular vice president to a towering figure of a woman who's invigorated her party like no one since the heyday of Barack Obama.
We win! We fight! We win! We fight! We win!
The Democrats can hardly believe their eyes. Neither can Donald Trump, who's watching his poll ratings slip with every successive Harris outing and who dialed in to Fox News last night.
Because she talks, but she doesn't do. It's no action. But, you know, look, other than that, it was a nice-looking room.
Back in that room, there was scant detail on policy, vague promises of an economy for everyone and a secure border. But the biggest cheer of the night went to this on Gaza.
President Biden and I are working to end this war such that Israel is secure, the hostages are released, the suffering in Gaza ends, and the Palestinian people can realize their right to dignity, security, freedom, and self-determination.
Then came the final pitch to crown her Commander-in-Chief, Kamala.
And as president, I will never waver in defense of America's security and ideals, because in the enduring struggle between democracy and tyranny, I know where I stand and I know where the United States belongs.
This speech has been met with rapturous applause, but this is a room full of the faithful. Can Kamala Harris now take her message of unity and opportunity outside of these walls and persuade the rest of America to put her in the White House? Sir, how are you feeling?
On fire. We gotta go get it now.
So happy! We're fired up and ready to go! Woo!
We are leaving Chicago as united and energized as I've ever seen the Democratic Party.
It's incredible, isn't it, given where you were a month ago?
Yes, it is.
Her running mate, Tim Walz, joined the stage with an astonished, and this is your wife, look to Harris's husband, Doug.
We are excited!
No one could quite believe what had just happened, not even the actor Ben Stiller.
How did she do?
Incredible. That was a historic moment. We just saw the first soon-to-be woman president accept the nomination, and I think she just knocked it out of the park.
Can she persuade the rest of America, those not in this bubble, though?
I think tonight she took the first step toward that.
That she certainly did. And a night to revel in the sheer joy of the moment. The polls and balloons popping for Kamala Harris. But make no mistake, there's a long, bitter fight to come. That might, just might, end up with the first woman in the White House.
Siobhan Kennedy. Well, in the last half an hour, I spoke to Lindy Lee, who's a top Democratic fundraiser and member of the Democratic National Finance Committee. She was with Kamala Harris last night after her speech, and I began by asking what kind of mood the Vice President was in.
The mood was just unbelievably positive, and it wasn't just the vice president. She was with her husband, Governor Walz, and his wife, and we shared a toast together. And this is a little known fact, actually. Yesterday was a 10-year anniversary of Doug and Kamala, so they weren't just celebrating the convention, they were celebrating their love. And it was an honor to be there with them, celebrating that bond. And it's amazing how much they've accomplished in 10 years. So it was an amazing night for America, but it was also an amazing night for Doug and Kamala.
Indeed. It's also amazing what she's managed to accomplish in about a month's time, because let's be honest, she was seen as a fairly indifferent vice president, and she's become this inspirational Obama-like candidate for the Democrats, giving Donald Trump, the run for his money. How do you account for this extraordinary transformation?
Well, for me, it wasn't quite that extraordinary, because I've been a surrogate for her for the past 3 years. I've seen her grow into the role. I've seen her blossom into this juggernaut. I've been a surrogate for the vice president for the past 3 years, and every year she's gotten better and better. She's become so much incredibly powerful on the stump speech. She's on the stump. She's reminding the American people that she is a seasoned prosecutor, and she's going to go out there and be a formidable opponent, effectively litigating the case against a intrinsically weak candidate. Because let's remember, Trump is a guy with 88 criminal charges, who terrorized the Capitol, who was indicted 4 times in 4 different jurisdictions. So he's a fundamentally weak candidate, and he's going against the likes of Kamala Harris, who took down Brett Kavanaugh, Bill Barr in Senate hearings. So he is up for a tremendous challenge.
And yet, despite all the things that you list against Donald Trump, they're still 50-50 in the polls. It's still neck and neck. And there's an awful lot of stuff that he is going to throw at her about the economy, about inflation, about immigration, and so on. So what does she need to do now in order to fend that off?
Well, if we look at the latest New York Times and Siena polls, she's actually leading in the states that matter the most. And those would be Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. She's leading there, which Biden never did at any point of the race. So the landscape of the election has been completely transformed. I'm feeling really confident, but I like what she says. She goes out there every single day and she level sets with the American people, and she says, we are still the underdog. She doesn't want anyone to have any sense of complacency or to rest on their laurels. So we're going to go out there and work our butts off to make sure in the next 70-some days that every single day is maximized, especially on September 10th, where she will be in my hometown of Philadelphia debating Donald Trump.
Your special expertise is raising money, and she's raised 4 times as much money as Donald Trump in the last month alone. How do you continue that? And is money really decisive in the race for the White House?
Money is absolutely decisive. In fact, it was decisive in urging President Biden to step down, because the spigot of big donor money completely shut down. There were a number of weeks in the month of July where the fundraising just completely screeched to a halt. And you simply cannot prosecute a case against your opponent if you do not have the resources to do so. But she is out there. She raised $500 million. $500 million. That's $1 billion in just the last couple of weeks. So this has been mind-boggling. It has never been done before. Everything about this campaign has been unprecedented. And I think the fact that this is a shortened campaign is actually a tremendous blessing, because the momentum doesn't need to last that long. It only needs to last about 70-some days. And I absolutely wholeheartedly believe that it will.
No. Okay, I guess the results will show whether you're right or not. Lindy Lee, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much.